The Penn State Nittany Lions will be heading on the road to Columbus, Ohio, Saturday morning to face the number one team in the country, the defending national champions, the Ohio State Buckeyes. Let's talk about it. So, Ohio State opened as 20.5-point favorites over the Nittany Lions. That has been bet down to 19.5 this afternoon. This game coming into the season was really seen as maybe one of the biggest games of the entire year. This was a projected number 1 versus number 2 after Ohio State defeated Texas, and Penn State was ranked 3rd in the nation. And this was could have been a national title rematch game. It could have been a Big Ten title rematch game. Obviously, Penn State has not kept up their side of the bargain with 4 consecutive losses in the Big Ten after starting 3-0 in non-conference play. They have had consecutive 4 losses to Oregon in overtime, at UCLA, Northwestern. James Franklin gets fired, and they just took a 1-point loss on the road at Iowa. So, coming into this game, Penn State has always given Ohio State a absolute battle, even when Ohio State is much better than Penn State. Last year, 1-possession game. The year before that, 1-possession game. In 22, it was a 1-possession game late. In 21, it was a 1-possession game late. Actually, in 22, Penn State was winning at half. At 20 is a little bit different because a lot of the Big Ten was really bad in 2020 because of COVID. 2019, it was a close game until the second half. 2018, 2017, there was a 1-point game. 2016, Penn State won. So for the past 8 or 9 years, this has been a highly competitive game, and that's how Ryan Day has been looking at this game. Obviously, this team knows this team has a losing record. They're 0-4 in the Big Ten. Their season has completely been derailed. They don't have their head coach. They don't have their starting quarterback. How do you get your team to get up for this game? Well, it's really easy to get up from this game when your defensive coordinator left to go to this rival. Jim Knowles left Ohio State last year after winning the national title to become the highest paid coordinator in the history of college football. College football has been around for 150 years, and Jim Knowles earning $3.1 million per year. Now at Penn State, not a main rival, but I would say a rival of Ohio State. This is actually, it's sad, but this is the last time Ohio State will play Penn State till 2028. This game has been played, I think, every year for the past 30-ish years. I think it's like 33 years. So to really see this game not be played next year and the next 2 years, is really unfortunate. That is all on Penn State. Penn State did not protect this game. Ohio State tried to. So now Ohio State's only protected opponent is Michigan at the end of this season. So Ohio State is a 19-point favorite. The over-under is at 45.5, which means Vegas is predicting this game to be somewhat of a 32-13 type game. And I think you could see that happening. I would probably take the under just because of what these defenses are. If you want to take Ohio State to cover, I think you would take Ohio State to cover. I really don't see how Penn State can score in this game. I actually will be going to this game, and if you've never been to Ohio Stadium, there's A deck, B deck, and C deck. C deck is the top. There's the field, and then there's the stands here, and the stands on top. This is C deck. I am on A deck, which is on the bottom deck. We are at the 45-yard line on the away sideline. So aside from club seating, this is the best seats in the entire stadium, which means I'm going to have a beautiful and perfect view to get some recordings done to play on Sunday when we come back. I will do a video and after last minute locks to lightly recap this game, but I will be having an own separate video to cover this game where we'll be going fully into depth. I'm going to have a lot of fun doing this. I am so excited to be going to this game on Saturday. So before we kind of preview the game, I just want to talk to you about what I think 3 key factors for both sides to win. So let's start off with Ohio State. So 3 key factors to win. I guess you could say 4. Honorable mention is don't crash the bus. But For what I want to see from Ohio State is 3. Be aggressive on offense. Do not rely on the run game, especially when we are probably going to see Tegra change to Josh Padilla, the backup center. I think he will get a lot of snaps at right guard instead of Tegra. So be aggressive on offense. Find creative ways to get Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate receptions. We have seen Jeremiah Smith in the run game a lot. We've not seen much of Carnell, but get Jeremiah in the slot and then get Mylan Graham out wide. Find creative ways to get Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate involved. Maybe even a little bit of Max Clare. I do not rely on the run game. This team has not been great, Penn State. Ohio State hasn't been great running the ball either, but this team is still talented, even though with all the losses that they've had. All of those losses have been the team after the Oregon loss, the Penn State roster giving up on the team. They will come for this game. This is their Super Bowl. This is the last thing they can play for. Yes, I get they play Indiana next week, but that's not Ohio State. If you could ask a Penn State fan, and you could ask, would you rather beat Ohio State by 1 point and lose to Indiana, or lose to Ohio State and beat Indiana by 50? I would assume they would say beat Ohio State. I think to Penn State, I think beating Ohio State means much more to them than beating Indiana, especially beating the Buckeyes on the road. So, number 2, win the turnover battle. Again, this defense is still very talented. This is probably the second most talented defense they've faced all year behind Texas. Texas, I think, is a better defense than Penn State. And now with Jim Knowles now being at Penn State, how are we going to see this chess match? Because obviously Jim Knowles knows the ins and outs of this Ohio State offense, and Ohio State knows the ins and outs of this Jim Knowles defense. I honestly think this matchup favors Ohio State because Chip Kelly is not here. Brian Hartline was not calling plays last year, and there is not a returning quarterback, and I think it is easier to change your philosophy on offense than it is to change it on defense. Jim Knowles' defense, as he says, it's very confusing and it's a very complicated defense, which is why it has been so hard for them to install. We tried to warn Penn State. They really just did not listen to us. But this Jim Knowles defense is a thing that takes multiple years to introduce. Take advantage of this defense. Again, like we said before, being aggressive. Take advantage of this Penn State Nittany Lion and Jim Knowles defense. Quickly speaking on Jim Knowles, there's been a lot of talk as if, should we welcome him back with open arms or boo him when they put him on the Jumbotron? I honestly don't know. He did a lot to turn around this defense, but honestly, the only time his defense looked super impressive was after Day took it over. And then he tried to, wager Day for more money during the before we won the national title. He was talking to other teams the day after we won the national title. He just wants more money. He doesn't care. He doesn't really have relationships with any of his players. Peyton Pierce said that he had more conversation and more of a relationship with Matt Patricia 2 days in than with Jim Knowles after 2 years. So take that for how you will. And third, so we had be aggressive, win the turnover battle, and then don't be stupid on special teams. And what I mean by that, and this can kind of be related with the turnover battle. What was the only thing that got Ohio State beat in the past 10 years? 2016 blocked field goal returned for a touchdown. We just saw Penn State do this last week against Iowa, where they blocked it still wasn't enough, but they blocked a touchdown, which gave them the lead at half. If you were up by 7 and you're at the 50, if you're at your own 45 and it's a 4th and 3, punt the ball. They're not going to score. They are not going to score, but an interception that could be a pick six, that can turn this game around. On kick returns, punt returns, don't fumble, fair catch if you have to. Just don't be stupid. So, those are my 3 things for Ohio State. For Penn State, and it's kind of got to be the reciprocal of what the Ohio State is. One thing, try to win the turnover battle. Get interceptions. Jim Knowles' defense can be highly effective in cover 0 blitz. that can speed up the process of a quarterback, which can lead to interceptions. The only problem is cover zero blitz. What does that leave for you? One-on-one islands for every single receiver. That's Jeremiah Smith. That is Carnell Tate, Mylan Graham, Brandon Innes, Quincy Porter, etc., Bryson Rogers, whatever. I will say, this game could be similar to the Indiana game last year. Obviously, Indiana was a top 5 team last year, but I just think game plan-wise, this could be maybe similar. So, I wonder if we'll see Caleb Downs punt returning. I don't know if we have seen him punt returning at all this year. So, so win the turnover battle for Penn State. Second is live in second and medium. And what I mean by that is this could be passing on first downs. If you are behind the chains with this secondary, this Ohio State defense, you might as well punt on second down. Like, you're not going to get a first down. So just staying ahead of the chains. This could be Texas routes on the running backs. It could be slot meshes, dump down stuff underneath. We have seen so much of this. This is for James Franklin. Now that James Franklin's gone, maybe we won't see it as much. But we've seen so much on third and fourth down where the quarterback, it's like James Franklin will tell him, here's your first read, here's your second read. If you don't see it, scramble. Well, do you know who's not great at scrambling? Drew Aller, Ethan Grunkmeyer. Do you know who really was really good at scrambling? Brett Pibula. And he's the one guy you got rid of. So, if you're Terry Smith, the interim head coach, who is an assistant coach at Penn State for 12 years, said that he needs his team to start throwing down the field more. So that might sound good, but you are throwing into the strength of this Ohio State team that is Arvo Reese, Sonny Styles, and Caleb Down playing the rover in the entire middle of this defense. And number 3 for Penn State is establish the running game. This defensive line for Ohio State had a lot of questions coming into the season. They have been much better than expected, but I am still a little concerned about depth, especially with Edric Houston maybe having a little bit of a injury-prone problem. He's been a little slow this year. Maybe that's injury. Maybe that's just not what he thought he was going to be. Maybe he's been developing a little bit slower than we thought. But establish a running game, live in second and short, second and medium, and win the turnover battle. That is the goal for Penn State if they want to keep it close. Also, extend drives, keep possessions away from Ohio State. This Ohio State offense is the slowest ran tempo offense in the entire country. It was one of the slowest last year. At the rate Ohio State's playing, by the end of the season, they will have played 3 total games less snaps than their opposition. They are playing like only 62 offensive snaps a game. This team is playing so slow to conserve snaps, depth, and health for later in the postseason. That's obviously what made them so good in the postseason last year. I get it's boring to watch, but it helped us win a national title last year, so I completely understand where Day is coming from. So, this game has been selected for Big Noon Kickoff, which I don't know why. They could have easily done USC, Nebraska. They have not been to Nebraska for a noon game yet. They've had games with USC. When USC went to Illinois, they have not done a Nebraska game, and they come to this game. And in 2015, we were the number 1 team in the country. We were undefeated, coming off of winning a national title, and we hosted Penn State, an unranked Penn State team, at home in a blackout, wearing our black uniforms at night. This year, we're number 1 in the country. We're undefeated, playing an unranked Penn State team at home. The crowd is a blackout. And this game is a noon game. It's not even a night game. And it doesn't seem like the players are going to wear even the black uniforms, which has been so annoying. And I've heard this complete BS that, well, Nike doesn't make them. Do you not look at Oregon? They just had they have a new uniform every single week. What do you mean they don't make them? I also heard that same bullshit last year in the playoffs with like, we're not going to wear the Heritage double stripe sleeves because Nike doesn't make them. And then we had them for the national title. I don't like, we've done the all white against Oregon last year. We did the all red versus Tennessee last year. We did the all grays versus Iowa last year. The only one we haven't done yet is the all blacks. That's why, we don't have them. But then we have them for the spring game for the quarterbacks, where it's like, well, we only have a couple. Like, what are you talking about? Give us our black uniform. Honestly, what they should do is do what Georgia did. When Georgia unveiled their blackout uniforms, they warmed up in their normal uniforms. They went back into the locker room, and when they came out, they surprised everybody for the first time with their blackout uniforms, and it was awesome. That's what Ohio State should do. I don't know if they will. It's going to look so weird with Ohio State wearing their normal uniforms at noon, and then the crowd's a blackout. Makes absolutely no sense. They did the blackout theme in the preseason. That's when they scheduled it, so I think maybe they assumed that if the Texas game was a noon game, they could fight for Penn State being a night game. Obviously, we don't get that liberty since we are stuck in Big Noon Kickoff. So, let's go to our prediction for this game. So, it's not much of a shocker that I will be picking Ohio State to win this game. The real question is by how much. Do I think they're going to cover? What do I think the game plan is? So, 2 weeks ago, I predicted this game. This is before they lost to Iowa. I thought this game would be something like 27-17, or like a 27-7, 20-7, kind of like a slug out game. But then I listened to Ryan Day's press conference on Tuesday a couple of days ago, and they talked about Jim Knowles and how they haven't had any contact, and it's been a very abrupt breakup. He said sometimes it's for the good, sometimes it's bad breakups. And he said, we're all professional. We try to not take it personal, but we are human. If you know Ryan Day and his coach speak, for him to say that, that means he means business. We're not going to try to take it personally, but we are human. My goodness, that is cocaine Ryan Day. I think Ohio State's going to win this game something like 42-9. Maybe 42-10, 42-13, 42-14. Maybe it's like a 28-7. I really don't know how this Ohio State offense is going to perform in the second half. In the first half, I think they're going to be up something like 24-7, 24-3, maybe 24-0. And it really just depends on how much they want to blow out Penn State in the second half. So my first half prediction is probably like a 24-7. And then in the second half, it could be like 42-14, 42-13, or it could be like a 34-37-14 or something. So that is my prediction for this game. I think Ohio State's going to win, and I think Ohio State's going to cover. That would probably mean I would probably take the under in Ohio State to cover. The spread was at 20.5 for most of the weekend. It kind of just got bet down at one point to 19. So they're favored by 19.5. So if you got that in now, it's going to be easier for you to predict Ohio State to cover. Ohio State has an 88.1% chance to win this game, according to ESPN's matchup predictor. Hopefully, Ohio State can put up a good game plan and performance, because next Tuesday the college football playoff committee rankings will drop, and they'll switch from the AP to those. And we really want to see Ohio State at number 1. There are some people who have been saying they could be at number 2 or number 3. They're saying they might put Indiana or A&M. I think that's complete BS. Indiana almost lost to Iowa, and A&M almost lost to Arkansas. I think Ohio State is the clear number 1 team in the country. But hey, if they don't put us at number 1, that just gives this team every much more reason to fight. But I hope you guys all enjoyed watching today's episode of our Ohio State prediction series, as we will see you guys all on Sunday for After the Whistle. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe and hit the notification so you get a notification every single time I release a new video. We are so close to 20 subs. We had a huge game last week in our performance and how much we did. One of our main videos did like 400 views. Absolutely insane. So if we can get to 20 subs, that would be amazing. And remember, always hit the like button. If you want to see anything or want to tell me any of your opinions, let me know in the comments. I will debate you. But I thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you then. Thank you.